Alright, what's up guys? How's everyone playing the Avalanche ecosystem? I'm pretty happy that I was early in the ecosystem, but I feel like I could have played it better. I'll go over it later, but I guess I took a more humble approach to aping into Avalanche by just buying a bunch of AVAX, but in hindsight I should have speculated with more of the lower market cap coins just because they're very reflexive and yeah, it just enters like these crazy bubbles. But yeah, like what are you guys in right now? I'm just curious. As people start rolling in, before the presentation, I just want to see like what everyone's aping into. Because this weekend I visited family, just because, my Patreon's launching next month, and I feel like I'll be like tryharding that once it launches. So, for the rest of August, I'm just focusing on seeing family, seeing friends. I'm like traveling to Vegas in less than 2 weeks. So I had to take a more conservative approach just because I'm not in front of the screen all day, which I'm coping a little bit. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. You gotta farm. Your farming strategy should adjust based on your life situation. So it is what it is. Yeah, everyone loves the Benki loop, right? Just deposit something on Benki, borrow stables, and redeposit stables, and you just like stack yield. It's pretty nuts. And the key token's doing well. AVAX is obviously doing well. Every token's doing well, right? I'll go over it later, but whenever like these ecosystems have a boom, like they just enter as like a mini bubble phase, and then later in the cycle, a bubble will pop, and then people will be looking back and be like, damn, I should have sold. I should have DCA sold on the way up. But my general sentiment is that, or my thoughts is that, it has more room to run, but you gotta be humble, right? You gotta be humble. So yeah, let's get into the presentation. One sec. Let's see if okay. I know last time my Wi-Fi was kind of shaky, but hopefully this time it's fine. Why did Avalanche crash? It's not crashed, man. It like tripled in value in like 10 days. So it's down only a little bit. Actually, let me just read the chat. I'll start the presentation at like 3:05 my time. So let's see. Yeah, even yeah, like all the farm tokens are pumping, right? Just like super inflationary tokens that's pumping. But like when you're so early in an ecosystem, like those tokens will go up. It just happens because, like I mentioned in my last video, it was just people spray and pray, and the TVL from Avalanche went from 200 million to like 1.2 billion or something. Actually, let me just check right now. It's pretty wild. I did not expect this. Humble farmer thesis should have expected this, but this much, like, damn, it's crazy. It's DeFi Llama. Is this Avalanche? It's at 1.14. Look at this. It's ridiculous. Oh my god. Bam. Yeah, so 1.14 billion. It still isn't that much money, actually. I think Polygon peaked at like 12 billion. But I guess it's a little different because Polygon TVL hit 12 billion when Bitcoin was like at 60K and ETH was at 4K. So I guess the TVL was kind of inflated back then, but still, I think it still has room to run. What's up, Danku? Everyone check out Danku. He has a great channel covering Luna mostly. He posted a video today. I didn't get a chance to look at it because I got home like half an hour ago, and I'm just like rushing to get on this live stream. But yeah, AVAX doing well. So let's see how. All right, presentation time. Everyone's favorite time. Avalanche Euphoria, to ape or not to ape? That's the question, right? Or if you've already aped, then when do you start being humble? Or if you've already aped, and should you keep aping, and should you keep keep on with the degen strategy? This is the types of questions that everyone should ask themselves. As a humble farmer, it's sometimes okay to be a degen greedy farmer, but if you're 80% of the time you're humble, 20% of the time you're degen, I mean, I can get behind that strategy. And I have to say, none of this is financial advice. I'm just a retail farmer doing a lot of research, spending too much time on crypto, and hopefully, I've helped everyone navigate these markets better, maybe make some money. But my calls recently have been pretty good, so hopefully I can keep that stretch going. So let's get into it. So before I dive deep into the ape or not to ape question, I do want to just do a quick little recap on how I made this call, right? Because I guess with my recent coverage of AVAX, there's a lot of new people subscribed and entering my channel. So I just want to go over why I found Avalanche and why I thought it was a good play, right? So, and this was August 10th, and August 10th was when Benki they made an announcement that they're going to have $3 million of liquidity mining programs to incentivize liquidity, right? I mean, obviously TVL went up almost $1 billion, so this did it happened, right? But essentially, I knew this was going to happen because of the humble farmer thesis. And I told everyone, hey, humble farmers, be interested, right? You got to be interested when a money market comes online. So let's just go back to the humble farmer thesis and just try to understand why Avalanche started to interest me. So I made this video back over a month ago. It has 10,000 views, which is pretty impressive because it's kind of a really technical video, I guess. Lots of information. But essentially, as a humble yield farmer, let's say you have $100,000, right? And there's 10 ecosystems in crypto. It's not good for you to just spread out your bets 10,000 each in across 10 ecosystems, because there's opportunity cost, right? What if you deploy capital on a ghost chain? You're just not making any money. So I think it's good to just be an expert at 2 or 3 ecosystems and focus your capital there and concentrate your capital there and go where the yields are. And the humble farmer thesis builds a mental model of how we can identify these ecosystems. And it essentially says that a good ecosystem needs 2 things, right? It just needs 2 things. One is an AMM with good liquidity and a farm, okay? So this, for Polygon, it's QuickSwap. For Binance Smart Chain, it's PancakeSwap. And for Avalanche, it's Pangolin, right? So, I mean, AMMs are easy. Anyone can build it. You just fork Uniswap, right? So number 1 is not too difficult. But number 2 is the most important part, which is a trusted and reliable money market, right? And this is what Benki was, and this is what caused the TVL of Avalanche to grow from 200 million to 1.2 billion. And quick disclaimer, the humble farmer thesis only looks at the current viability of these ecosystems. Just because an ecosystem is not viable now doesn't mean it can't be in the future, right? So the Phantom is one ecosystem that I'm interested in, but I'm not interested right now just because there's no money market, right, that I can trust. But in the future, when they do have other money markets, I will definitely be participating in that. But for now, not interested. Okay, so why is a money market important? Well, money markets allow you to leverage major assets as a liquidity source, right? So if you go back to my videos, I'm using Benki to essentially take all my a bunch of Bitcoin, ETH, and Link, right, Chainlink tokens, putting it as collateral, right? Because I'm bullish those tokens. I don't want to sell them, and they're in short-term capital gains, yada yada yada. But if I can use them as collateral, borrow stable coins against it, and use those stable coins to do a bunch of farms and reinvest in all that stuff. It gives you flexibility, right? So imagine you're like a whale. You don't want to sell your tokens, so a lot of whales just deposit a bunch of Bitcoin, borrow against it, and just farm with them, right? I mean, it's a pretty good strategy. And money markets also allow you to short an asset, right? So if you're bearish ETH, for example, you can borrow ETH and sell it, right? And then you're effectively short. So lots of flexibility, and that flexibility, I think, creates more sticky liquidity that boosts the TVL of the ecosystem. And when TVL of an ecosystem goes up, it's great because, I mean, that just means that the farms tend to do well, right? Avalanche farms, back when TVL was at 200 million, was complete trash. But now that it's over $1 billion, it's everyone's oh shit, do I go into this? Do I go into that? What do I ape? There's all these questions asking, and it just creates this speculative mania that creates a mini bubble that we're seeing here. And there's chances to make money, but I guess there's also chances to lose a lot of money. So that's why we always preach the humble farmer, meme, right? And yeah, like I mentioned, part 2 of the humble farmer thesis states that yield farms follow TVL, not the other way around, right? So devs, like, if you're a developer, like, would you rather build on Avalanche at 200 million market cap, $200 million TVL, or would you rather build on Avalanche after it surpasses $1 billion in TVL? Obviously, you want to create on Avalanche after it has this critical mass liquidity, just because it's more likely that your app will do well once there's like thousands of more people and billions in the ecosystem. So if you take developer Wojak here, like some developers, like, they're trying to change the world and whatnot, but I argue, like, most developers are, like, doing this for fun, doing this for money, and, they want to build something that's successful. And, those people, like, they're going to build where there's a higher chance of that happening, right? Okay, so going back to Avalanche, that's a quick little recap of the Humble Farmer thesis. My goal of the Humble Farmer thesis is, it sounds ridiculous, right? It's just a total meme. However, maybe a year from now, like, we'll have VCs, like, going on interviews saying, yeah, like, we go by the Humble Farmer thesis to deploy capital, right? Like, that's the moment I'm waiting for. That's when I know that I made it, is when, like, these reputable VCs are, like, saying things like Humble Farmer thesis on television or, like, random podcasts and whatever. So Avalanche DeFi, it kind of used to be a ghost chain, right? There's like nothing built on it, right? There's a lot of hype, right? Because the founder is a genius, and the technology is also pretty good, right? It's actually decentralized, and it kind of scales. But I wasn't interested back then because there was, like, no money market. But Benki was a money market. It was sponsored by Avalanche, right? Ava Labs, the company that, like, created Avalanche. They backed Benki with their own tokens. So obviously, with the $3 million liquidity mining program, and keep in mind, it's only $3 million. Like, that's nothing, right? There's still a lot of money to be thrown around. So, like I said, it went from 200 million to 1.1 billion. Kabam! Wild. I did not even see this coming. Sorry, my dog is barking, but you might hear that, but it's okay. And Avalanche Rush, $180 million incentive program, right? This is what happened on Polygon back in April and May. Polygon allocated 100 million, and Avalanche is now allocating 180 million, right? So they're going to throw a lot more money into the ecosystem, which should do well for the entire ecosystem, obviously. So 30 million went to Benki, 20 million is going to go to Aave, right? I know everyone's excited for Aave, so am I. And $7 million going to Curve, right? So that's $30 million already allocated, but 150 million, it's still coming. So I can imagine that going to, I guess, other DeFi blue chips like Sushi, or like, we'll see, right? It's hard for me to predict things, but it's the one thing that we do know is that the Ava Labs, they're gonna throw money into this ecosystem. And part of, I guess when this happens, like, everything just goes up, right? So near the beginning, I was like talking about, like, I should have like put, like, I don't know, like 0.5% or like 0.2% of the portfolio into, like, just these, like, lower cap coins, just because, like, they're just gonna do well, right? Even if the fundamentals aren't good, they're just gonna pump because there's so much money chasing the opportunities. And I argue that most of these are gonna go to zero, but in the meantime, maybe in the next 1 to 2 months, they're gonna just have some endless bid, just because people wanna ape, people wanna degen, and that's what happens, right? The one thing you can't bet against is people in crypto going gambling, right? So yeah, so it's safe to say that people are splashing money around this ecosystem, and you can't really blame them, right? Like, TVL is going up, so these coins will just naturally have some money flow, even without strong fundamentals. And if you can identify these projects with strong fundamentals, then yeah, maybe you do have a good opportunity. However, even coins without any fundamentals are pumping, so you always got to be careful. And I'll just go over, like, I guess the main question of this live stream. So I argue that, I think this is the beginning of the bubble. I think we're already in a mini bubble, right? I think it's early, right? But I'm predicting that, there's going to be some run up, like, similar to like what Matic did, right? Because Matic entered a bubble. I think it peaked at like 2.7, right? $2.7. It's a little crazy. And the question is, how long will it last? And, is it time to be greedy, or is it time to be humble? All right, so it's always a good question. And I use this graphic, the Homer Simpson graphic, on my thumbnail, because I feel like everyone knows this cartoon thing, right? With like, like, I guess in Homer's example, like, he's contemplating eating a donut or whatever, and he's like really like, thinking about whether he should eat a donut. And then there's like a good angel and a bad angel pops up, and the good angel's like, hey, like, that's a lot of calories, don't eat it. Like, your wife called you fat, like, don't eat that shit, right? But the bad angel is like, yo, like that's a fucking donut. Like donuts are dope. You gotta eat that. It's like $2. You gotta eat it, right? And I feel like every human has these good angel, bad angel. It's like a tug of war, right? Of like the good angel is like saying like, hey, you should just be humble, and the bad angel is saying like just do it, right? And I guess in crypto, we can translate this good angel, bad angel to greedy angel, right? The red angel is the greedy angel, and the white one is the humble angel, right? So in this video, or I guess in this live stream, I'm just gonna present two viewpoints on how I guess two different viewpoints on how to view the current ecosystem right now. One from the humble angel side, which I'll go over first, and then the second from the greedy angel side, right? And then I'm not gonna I'll just like be mainly using data, so it's not gonna be like too subjective. Obviously, I'm a little biased just because I'm long AVAX and I am bullish this ecosystem, but I'll try to be objective as possible. So let's get into it. All right, hold up. My dog going wild. Okay. So I'm just gonna go over the humble angel because you know what, like, sorry, dog is distracting me, but humble angel because I feel like I'm usually conservative when I think about the upside potential of a particular farm and ecosystem and whatnot. Just because like you gotta take your emotions out, right? And you gotta just be realistic with whatever is like happening. And the humble angel, I think, would say, the easy money has already been made, right? Even Avalanche, which was a top 50 token, I think like 2 weeks ago, has tripled in value, right? I think it went from like $16 when I first mentioned it to like, and like 40, I forget, like $45 or something. Like it was wild. It's actually, it hit $50, right? It literally tripled, right? So there's a lot of like people that like have made easy multiples, and like generally I don't want to be buying bags of people that's already like 5x, 10x, right? It just doesn't feel that great. Everything is parabolic. Taking profits is going to be part of the humble farmer strategy, right? So this is coming from the perspective that, hey, like, I guess like we already entered Avalanche, right? When I first started covering it. So we already have gains. So, I think maybe this is a time to start being humble, right? Maybe not sell their entire stack, right? I would never recommend selling, anyone sell their entire stack, right? Not financial advice, but maybe like they see like 10% a week, 20% a week, 30% a week, right? Whatever floats your boat. And like I showed this screenshot earlier, but yeah, like everything is parabolic, right? It's like, holy, I wish I bought these, but I didn't, unfortunately. So, and also like AVAX is being shilled everywhere on social media. Like we were early, so maybe like this is maybe like we just like smile and dump on their faces, right? It's like these new influencers are coming in, they're talking about how Avalanche is the best thing since sliced bread, and maybe like we get to dump on their faces. Maybe that's appealing to you. But like I mentioned, like even the humble farmer strategy, like, or the humble angel strategy, isn't like dump your tokens all at once. It's just like, just start taking profits, right? Like what could go wrong, right? Like it's just locking gains, and no one ever went broke taking profits, right? And I guess also, if you're trying to be humble, if you're trying to mitigate your downside risk, I would focus accumulation of Avalanche, right? Because we've seen like with Terra, with Solana, Matic, Binance Smart Chain, like all these ecosystems, like the one thing that we can be sure of is that if this ecosystem like does like lock in a bunch of like billions of liquidity, the gas token is going to do well, right? It happens every single time. Like the gas token will enter a bubble, it'll crash, and then it'll just like meander like in between like the blow off top and like the bottom, right? Just look at the price of Matic right now. Like I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen to the price of AVAX. I have no idea when it's going to peak, right? No one knows when it's going to peak, but it's going to enter a bubble, and I feel like even though like your upside will be capped, right, with AVAX because it's already like a $7-8 billion token, I think it's the safest play. And like I mean, in 2 weeks people got a 3x, right? So it's not like you're like missing out on that much upside. And you can stake it on Benki, earn yield. You can stake it on Aave when that comes out and earn yield. So there's nothing wrong with that, right? And if you are a humble, if you like are leaning towards the humble angel side, but you do want to take on some risk, right? I guess it's sort of like Bitcoin. We know will trend up over time, but people will buy ETH because it's higher beta, but with more risk. maybe Pangolin, right? PNG is the token that people should consider, because if you look at all the ecosystems, like the number one AMM, right? It's like part one of the humble farmer thesis. The token does well, right? It doesn't outperform like the other altcoins in the ecosystem, but it just does well. And though it will crash harder than AVAX, PNG, does pretty well. And this is the price of PNG in the past 14 days. So it used to be $1, and then it peaked at like $4. Now I think it's like $3.20 or something, or something along those lines. And this is the market cap, right? So right now it's a little under 150 billion. Oh, sorry, it's not 150 million, right? So you can, I can like see a lot of people arguing, hey, 150 million, it's not too bad. Like maybe it can go up many multiples from here to the moon, right? That's what a lot of people say. But like, I do want to emphasize this point, right? It's like the reason you're subscribed to this channel, the reason you're watching this live stream right now, is because you don't want to be this DeFi noob Bojack that says that like thinks that everything is the next pancake swap, right? Do you know that person on Telegram, Discord, YouTube comments, Twitter that like claims that everything is the next pancake swap and that it's gonna like do it 1000x? Like, yeah, you do not want to be that guy, right? Because maybe that guy is right like once in a while, but most of the times like he's buying the farm token, he's getting wrecked, right? So I encourage everyone to like not think in this way. Maybe people will get mad at me if PNG actually like 10x, like 100x's from here, which I think is unlikely, but who knows, right? Crypto's crazy. So yeah, don't think about it that way. And I feel like the most objective way to think about it, right, without like putting like my emotions like as a factor, right? Like not saying like, oh, like PNG is better than QuickSwap, PNG is better than Pancake. Like instead of like making those arguments that like a lot of other YouTubers and influencers make, let's look at historical data for QuickSwap, right? Because I feel like QuickSwap is the best comp for Pangolin, right? We can't really compare it to PancakeSwap because PancakeSwap, it was a very unique time when it was like early 2021 with Binance, and they had all these other features like that had like deflationary pressures like the lottery and whatnot. But Pangolin is like a pure DEX, right? Like that's all you can do. All you can do is swap. QuickSwap is similar, where all you can do is swap. So I think it's like the best comp for the PNG token. And if you look at the chart, the price chart for QuickSwap, it looks like this, right? Where it like when it first launched, it went up to 500, then it dumped back to like $200, and then it like 7x'd from 200 to 1400. I actually sold a top on this, which is pretty insane. If you go back to my video late April or early May, I literally like sold the top. I didn't sell everything at the top. I sold like a third of my stack at the top, but it was like, back then I was even a humble farmer too. So, just taking profits because I'm pretty sure the PNG token is going to look like this. I don't know what the numbers are going to be, right? Maybe it peaks at $10, $20, $5, who knows? The only thing we know is that like we can probably hypothesize that the shape of the chart will look something like this. And I guess people that are new to farming, the next slide I'll show you is going to be really, really important, right? Because this is the price, right? And, it's not too great to look at only the price when you're evaluating, I guess, tokens and projects, right? Sometimes you have to consider the market cap, right? Because if the token is like 1 cent, but the market cap's $1 billion, like you're not going to get like a 1000x opportunity. You always have to consider the market cap of these tokens. And the thing with these AMM tokens like QuickSwap, PNG, Pancake, all these, SushiSwap too, they're very inflationary, right? So they're incentivizing people to provide liquidity by giving them their tokens. So if you look at the market cap of QuickSwap, it actually looks like this, right? So even though QuickSwap is trading at like $700 or something, $600, the market cap now is higher than it was when price was at 1400, right? So this just means that there's so many tokens being emitted. So naturally, the price of these tokens just go down over time, right? That's why I say never marry a farm. And generally you do want to DCA out of these coins just because it's inflationary. And let's say like the market cap of QuickSwap stays at like, let's say 200 million, right, over a period of 6 months, but the token supply also doubled in that 6 months. Well, even though the market cap is the same, the price of QuickSwap has gotten cut in half, right? Because market cap is price times quantity essentially. So when we're thinking about like what is the hypothetical top of PNG, maybe we can extrapolate the first peak that QuickSwap had in terms of market cap, which was roughly like $250 million. I'll just be like a little bit generous there, but let's say 250, right? So it's a round number. It's cool. And quick bubble popped at 250 million market cap. And PNG, last time I checked, I made this slide yesterday night, so maybe it's a little lower, but right now it's at 150. Okay, so maybe if you're super humble, like if you are stacking PNG, farming it or whatever, or just like buying it outright, maybe start running for the exits as it approaches $200 to $300 million market cap, right? And let the apes take the risk above that, right? Because, like hypothetically, like I don't even try to go for like crazy 10, 20x's anymore. I'm just like happy with like a few multiples because like as long as I can protect my downside, it's really hard to lose in crypto, right? But I can always see the argument of, Polygon, their liquidity mining program is 100 million, and Avalanche is 180 million dollars, right? So hypothetically, shouldn't that mean that PNG should have more upside? And I mean, this makes sense. Like this argument makes sense. It's hard for me to say yes or no, just because there's no precedent, right? There's like no precedent of like liquidity mining programs, like I guess like with more money, like should that accrue more value to the PNG token? I don't know, but if we did apply this 80% premium, like let's say hypothetically, right? Then maybe, even the most humble, this is a less humble but still humble strategy of maybe you run for the exits, roughly at $400 to $500 million market cap, right? And let the apes take the risk above that. So, these are two scenarios. You do you, right? It's your money. It's not my money. You're clicking the buttons. So if you are aping this, then this is a good mental model. Just track the market cap. Who cares about the price? I obviously people care about the price, but I think market cap is a good way to think about PNG and realistic price targets, right? Because trust me, you're gonna start to see like $20 price targets, like soon from like random influencers, like random people on social media, just because that's how they get clicks. But I feel like this is a more humble way to look at it. Okay, so that's the more humble angel mindset, right? Just focus on Avalanche. If you want to take on risk, maybe PNG, and maybe like 0.5% of the portfolio to another thing that you're bullish on. But obviously, I feel like with people in crypto, with people in general, I feel like the greedy angel is always there, right? The greedy angel, no matter how humble we're all striving to be, the greedy angel is always whispering at the back of our ears to keep aping, to keep going degen, because the opportunity, or I guess the idea to make crazy multiples is always very, very sexy, right? Okay, so I guess the greedy angel perspective is like a more bullish scenario, right, for Avalanche, and the humble angel mindset is like a more conservative approach. So one thing that could be a bullish catalyst is if you read this thing here, essentially right now gas, the GWAY for Avalanche is fixed at 225, just because it's still really early. But I think in like under 10 days or so, like the 24th, I think, there's going to be a 66% fee reduction, hypothetically, where gas is no longer going to be fixed at 225. It's going to range from 75 to 225, right? So maybe that's going to lower fees. I know people have trouble with fees. Sometimes you can pay like $3 to $5, which is kind of annoying. I think we were all spoiled by Polygon, but if you compare it to Ethereum, like Avalanche is still really, really good, right? So a lot of market participants are actually happy that it's only $3 to $5 because they're comparing it off of whatever that they experienced on ETH. But if you're coming from Polygon, it's kind of tilting because we're so used to like zero fees, right? But this is because Avalanche is actually like relatively decentralized, right? Like Binance Smart Chain, Polygon, super centralized. Like that's why it's so cheap. And for those that didn't know, like the entire fee paid by each transaction is burned, right? And it's always been that case. So Avalanche, as long as there's more activity on Avalanche, the AVAX token should be burned. All right. The greedy angel, like this is always, like this is at the back of my mind every single time, right? It's like I'll be in Curve. They're not even here yet, right? They have $177 million of AVAX to throw around. AVAX is still under a $10 million market cap. Ape everything and fucking send it, right? This is the greedy angel. I think we all have this greedy angel inside our heads. Just fucking send it. Let's ape, right? Let's ape. because the Polygon market cap peaked at roughly $15 billion back in May. Avalanche is roughly $78 billion. So, do we expect another 2x from here, right? Or maybe Avalanche is actually decentralized, so maybe the market puts more value into that. Maybe it 3x's from here. Who knows? I can't predict the price. All you can do is be humble, stack yields, and like slowly sell and just make money that way. And also, like, Bitcoin is looking bullish, right? Because like the one bearish scenario for Avalanche or for like any ecosystem is Bitcoin dumping, because Bitcoin always controls the markets, right? So if Bitcoin takes a dump, like no matter how bullish AVAX is fundamentally, it's also going to take a dump. So always look at the health of Bitcoin. Bitcoin actually looks pretty decent, so maybe this is bullish for AVAX, right? And I don't know if I don't have a screenshot, but like AVAX hit $60 in early 2021. Like, how did that even happen? There was like no activity there. So like even the humble angel and the humble Taiki still thinks it's gonna go past all-time highs. Don't know the price. I don't do price targets. I don't know where it'll go, but I think $60 is pretty much a given. People thought I was crazy when I first said this when price was like $20, but now that it's at like 40, 45, I think it's becoming more and more likely. And this is the greedy angel speaking again, but like if AVAX, let's say 2 to 3x's, then imagine what the illiquid altcoins will do, right? Like, oh my god, like apes together strong, right? Oh, right. Actually, next week I'm trying to have Crypto Messiah on the channel as a live stream because he's like, I told him about AVAX and he just aped in, and he's doing really, really well. So I think it'll be cool to get his mindset on these things. And he's a crypto Twitter OG. I think the one thing from people on crypto Twitter is that like they're super biased towards Ethereum and Solana. Ethereum because like that's what they're used to, and Solana because like Sam Bankman-Fried like sponsors everything. So I think it'll be cool to hear perspectives of like an OG like transitioning from ETH to AVAX and just like going apeshit, right? I know a lot of people that I guess didn't like even try Polygon, didn't even try Terra, right? Imagine missing out on Terra, and now that like they feel the FOMO, they're FOMOing into AVAX, right? Which I understand. That's what I did for Polygon when I missed out on Binance Smart Chain. So in summary, the two perspectives, right? Like AVAX, like let's give ourselves a round of applause. Like we identified it early. Like if you hopefully you guys like allocated some capital to it because it's been outperforming, right? And humble play is to stack AVAX and maybe a small percentage to the other tokens. Greedy play is to go like like this is my time, right? Obviously, like I feel like most people are somewhere in between, right? So maybe people want to do like a 70% humble strat, 30% greedy strat, or like 90% humble, 10% greedy. It's up to you, right? Obviously, like you're the one clicking buttons, like, and I can't predict the future. No one can predict the future, but the one thing we can do is to educate ourselves and to be more informed so we can make the right plays. Excuse me. It's been a good quarter so far. I mean, I guess my channel blew up because back in April my channel was like at 2,000 subs and now it's like 51, which is crazy. But April to June I was like farming on Polygon. July I allocated capital to Terra, and now I'm putting more capital into AVAX, right? So thank you guys for supporting me. And humble farmer thesis works, right? Like when I first made this video I was like, I don't know if this will work, but hopefully it works, and now it's playing out, right? So humble farmer thesis, like don't fade the humble farmer thesis. Okay, so before I look into the chat, I just do want to make an announcement. I've been hinting at this, but I'm gonna have a Patreon, a paid group. Tentative launch date is September 7th. So that's like 2.5 weeks from now, right? So it's coming up, and I've been like working on the back end behind this, working really hard. So I hope that people are looking forward to it, because the one thing that separates my channel from like most other channels is that I don't run ads, right? Most of you know this, but I don't run ads. I don't do paid shows. I don't do sponsors. I don't do referral links. So I make zero money off of YouTube, like actually. So I do this to establish trust within like you and my audience, like so like that my words are not paid for, and my words are my own. I guess the one way that I won't monetize, because people have to make money, myself included, is through a paid group. where my, I think about like I guess my channel as like a freemium model, right? Where my YouTube is free alpha, that's not gonna change. Like, you're still gonna get like, right now I post like 4 videos a week, like that's not gonna change. But my Patreon will be more alpha, right? With live updates of what I'm doing and how I'm thinking about the markets, plus bonus content, right? Essentially, like, it's hard for me to make videos every single day, like about like 2 different things, just because I'm like moving money around. But through the Patreon, I'll provide more alpha, give my thoughts on the markets, and be fully transparent with what I'm doing, right? And free videos as well. Sorry, not free, but like weekly videos as well. So this is gonna be how it's gonna go. It's called the Humble Farmer Army, right? Humble Farmer Army strong. We'll do private monthly live streams, right? So I spend a lot of time on these live streams, so I'll do an extra one for the Patreon. I'll do a private Discord group. So I think the Discord group is going to be like one of the most valuable things actually out of all these things, because I feel like farming is like pretty isolating, right? Everyone's farming by themselves. You don't really have a squad. But through a Discord, you'll hear my thoughts. I'll be more active there, and you can, like, I guess, talk and like have conversations with people that's like willing to pay $70 a month roughly to, I guess, learn more about farming and be more active, right? So that's going to be valuable. I'll do daily post updates. I've hinted at my Humble Farmer spreadsheet, so you'll get full access to that, right? That'll be cool. And then private weekly videos. So that'll be cool. So yeah, thanks for everyone's support. I hope I helped you navigate the markets better, in a more educated way, a more sophisticated way, in a more informed way, and hopefully I made you some money. I'm sure most of you guys are here because I made you money, and that's why you're watching my videos. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'm gonna look at the chat, answer any questions, and then I'll go into the Q&A, the AMA session actually. So yeah. Let's see. I'm just gonna scroll through all these things. Let's see. Yeah, everyone's just so bullish here. Oh god. Yeah, it's hard to not be bullish, but yeah, it's wild. All right. Well, anyways, yeah. I guess everyone's going towards the greedy angel route, which I understand. It's hard not to be bullish, but it is what it is, right? And I'm not gonna like go over like all these Avalanche altcoins, right? I don't really want to be moving markets and whatnot, but I do want to go over this thread by Coastal Penguin. He did this a couple days ago. I thought it was a pretty good thread. I think you should give him a follow. I think he's been like an Avalanche OG, but let's just like go over this because he shares some pretty good information. So let's see. Yeah, so Avalanche DeFi lives on the C chain, right? The EVM compatible layer. Like EVM compatibility matters a lot, just because it's more easier for these applications to port their projects over. And exchanges often withdraw to the X chain. So if you're withdrawing from Binance or like KuCoin or whatever, you can use the X chain to like swap between these exchanges and then like withdraw it to the C chain to your MetaMask. So I don't really use exchanges to bridge, but if you do that, then like that's something that you should look into. And he has a thread here, so just follow Coastal Penguin and go find this thread and like find all the links that you'll see, right? Yeah, so the C chain, right, the EVM compatible chain that we're all using right now, was expensive and quite clunky. That kind of made it like a ghost chain, like I mentioned. But a small core group of projects survive the first 6 months and start to build communities, right? Some of these projects we'll go over later, but like Snowball, Trader Joe, Yoldiak and stuff. And yeah, the recent announcement, obviously, the Avalanche Rush Fund, was really good because, I mean, yeah, TVL boomed, right? So first, he goes over Snowball. Snowball was his first farm. It's a compounder. It's an IDO, stablecoin vault. You can think of this as a native curve with yield farming products. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, so if you want to do your own research, then this is just a brief overview of some of the projects out there. So PFI, Penguin Finance. So they also offer an IDO, compounders, and a way to like stake your PFI. It's essentially a farm, I think, with like 20 million market cap, 21 million fixed supply or something. Significant products coming up, including sports prediction markets and gambling games via Penguin Arena, right? So it's Club Penguin, but for adults. PNG, we all know this. It's like the main DEX. It's the first DEX. Their tokenomics are actually pretty good. It was like redistributed to the community, and yeah, it's just the DEX that I mostly use. Trader Joe, people call this like the sushi of Avalanche. Not sure if I believe that, but the team is strong, right? The team is pretty strong. So PNG was like a dinosaur, right? It's just like all it does is like swap. So Joe is doing more things. It's a DGen favorite, so maybe you're interested. Integrated well with Snowball, PFI, and the other projects in the ecosystem. Key, money market, we all know this. Sherpa, privacy software for AVAX. It's like a fork of Tornado Cash, right? So it allows you to, I guess, move funds privately, which could be nice depending on like who you are. Yak is Yield Yak. They have a 10,000 token supply. It's an auto compounding service. It's pretty slick UI. He doesn't know much about it, but you know, I think the website looks pretty dope. I think this is Lydia Finance. This is Gondola Zero. Yeah, I think these are more of like the super low cap, like crazy, like altcoin shitcoins. But maybe you should do your research. I don't know much about them. Yeah, and a lot of these projects probably come off as very small or memey to new participants. It's impossible to say which project will catch legs, but you know, we're probably going to see more products come in, right? Because humble farmer thesis, money flows into the ecosystem, more things will be built out. Okay, so let's see. He's bullish PFI and Snowball the most, as well as Joe and Pangolin. But you know, I mean, I guess you can look at the metrics. You can look at like the TVL growing and stuff. But like I mentioned, I've kind of prioritized my personal life recently, so I haven't had the chance to ape these things. I've like done safer plays, which I'm a little salty about, but it is fine, right? It's like hindsight is 2020. There's this concept in poker called up tilt, where you're up money, but you're kind of tilted, right? Either because you were up a lot and then you lost like most of it, or like you should have made a lot more, but you're like only up a little bit, right? So that's how I feel right now. But let's see. Yeah, I'm not gonna go over this, but you know, I thought this was a good thread. I just like went over like most of the Avalanche native project. So you know, if you can go to CoinGecko and look through all this, but that could be something to look into. All right, let's see. And one thing I will say is like I'm glad that my Discord is like pretty popping, right? Because right now there's a lot of activity in the markets. I have a tab. I have like a category for Avalanche here. This is free, so just go into the description, click on it, and like people are just like discussing like, you know, should I enter all these things? It's pretty cool. So if you're trying to be a humble farmer and you know, like you want a free resource, a free community, I think this thing has like 5,000 or 6,000 members. It's a pretty good one. All right. All right, let's see. I feel like I'm constantly up tilted. Yeah. It always happens. But hindsight is 2020. So, you know, you can't always look into the past and be like, damn, I should have aped my net worth into that. Because it's impossible to know, right? Because 2 weeks from now, like how would we have identified like all these things, right? It's really, really difficult. I guess if you spend a lot of time, you could have did that, but it's always difficult and it's always obvious in hindsight. Okay, so I actually got 76 responses for this, so super thankful. I already handpicked some questions from the AMA. I like to do this to like just filter out like the spammy comments. But yeah, first like apparently like this guy, he wanted me to help make a public service announcement. Now, this guy's a crypto native. He's been in here 4 years. He kind of got too euphoric with all like with farming, and shared his private keys through a fake app and lost everything, close to 40K. And he's gonna be fine, but never give out your private keys to your wallets, even if the website looks compelling. That should be yours, and like, only for MetaMask and your hardware wallets and whatnot. So just really be careful, because it's not like FDIC insured, right? So if you get wrecked, then there's like no one that's gonna have your back, right? The MetaMask isn't the Fed. They're not gonna print money. So always do your research. So I guess a lot of people have been complaining about the gas fees, right? So for people with small bags, is it more profitable to buy AVAX instead of farming slowly and losing gains to fees? So fees are going to go down, I think, on the 24th. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's still going to be like maybe $1, maybe $2. It obviously depends on network congestion, right? So if you have smaller bags, maybe it is better to just buy AVAX, right? Non-financial advice, or maybe you just bridge AVAX over and stake it on, or deposit it on Benki or Aave when it launches, and maybe get gains that way, right? Maybe that's a better way. So I think people are spoiled with Polygon. It doesn't mean that Avalanche is bad because transactions take $1 or $2. It's not ideal, but it's definitely better than ETH, and it's part of like the blockchain trilemma, right? It's like you can scale any blockchain by making it less decentralized, but most ecosystems, most blockchains don't want to do that. So AVAX is pretty decentralized, so but it scales pretty well. So that's why transaction fees are pretty expensive, I guess, if you compare to Polygon. So I get a lot of questions about bridging. I already went over this, but like you have to go through the Ethereum bridge, right? Or at least that's what I do. You can go through exchanges and whatnot, but I usually just stick within the ecosystem, which you do have to pay gas fees to do this, which is kind of annoying. But just use the AVAX bridge. I think it's one of the best bridges. It's really cheap, but it is a pain in the ass. But yeah, it's like the one downside of Avalanche is bridging assets and the fees. So a lot of people do like the Hyperloop on Benki, where you deposit something, you borrow another asset, and you put it back, and you borrow more, you put it back, right? So if you supply AVAX, borrow AVAX, and redeposit AVAX to borrow more AVAX, and then redeposit AVAX, well, technically you can't be liquidated because you're borrowing and lending the same asset, right? So it's just your collateral and loan value will just move up and down in tandem. However, you should always know that the borrow APY is always higher than the lending APY. So if your health factor is like 1.01 and you just like go to vacation, you're probably going to be liquidated because the borrowed amount, it's going to go up more than your lending amount, right? So just keep that in mind. Yeah, so I already went over this, but yeah, I think all-time highs is even from a conservative standpoint, like I think it'll hit all-time highs, which was like $60 or something. So what have I learned? Anything from Dinoswap? I guess the one thing I did learn is, I always say this, right? But like, never marry a farm, right? I feel like whenever you put money into something, you just like you're kind of emotionally attached to it. Like, I think it's like human nature. So I should have just like taken all my profits whenever my thesis got invalidated. I kind of waited like a few days, right? Because I kind of held out hope. But like I always say, hope is not a strategy, right? Like, hope is never a strategy. That's not how life works. You can't just hope your way to like retirement. So just gotta stick to your guns, stick to the plan, and just go from there. Yeah, so this question is more about tokenomics. It's more about like what kind of tokenomics is better for a particular farm, linear unlock versus cliff. Generally, I think cliff essentially means like 25% of the supply gets released every 3 months or something, right? So every 3 months there's like a massive supply shock to whatever the farm token. I think usually it's very, very unhealthy to have cliffs, just because everyone just like sells them, right? I think linear is more healthy because it's just like a slow, gradual increase that's predictable, and it's easier to predict the price of these tokens if it's a linear unlock, right? Yeah, so this is like the more of like the up tilt mentality of feeling FOMO. I wish I did this. If I had done this, I would have made more money. Like it's obviously everything is in hindsight. Do you have the same instinct? And if so, how do you manage it so it isn't so overwhelming? Obviously it hurts, right? It's like, oh damn, like I was so early, but I missed out on some gains. But if you flash back to like 2 weeks ago and you told me that, like, do you think you'll be upset if the price of Avalanche tripled and you'll be like crying, right? Like I'd be like, I would like laugh my ass off, be like, no fucking way, dude. Like I'll be euphoric. So obviously our mind likes to play these games of like, if I had done this, I would have made this much, or I should have done this. But at the end of the day, like generally, like I don't try to dwell over it. It's just like I had a thesis, I made a plan, I did it, and I made money. Could have made more money if I spent a little bit more time on research, but it is what it is, and I learned. It's a lesson learned, right? Like next time an opportunity like Avalanche comes, I'll take on more risk in the beginning, right? And then just like dump on people's faces. Okay, so price target, I already mentioned this. So for Avalanche, am I going to hodl? Am I going to DCA sell? Like whatever. I don't really have a plan yet. I think I'm just going to start DCAing after it reaches all-time highs and goes past it. Obviously, the plans can change. Like if Bitcoin starts dumping, then like maybe I want more liquidity, right? More stable coins. Who knows? But like no one can tell you when to sell. Like it's your money. It's your portfolio. Also, like it depends, right? If Avalanche is your entire portfolio, then yeah, maybe taking profits after 2x makes sense. But if it's only 10% of your portfolio, and like maybe it does make sense to write it out, right? Because you can earn yield on AVAX, which is pretty nutty. Yeah, market signals, I guess. Yeah, Bitcoin dumping is a big one. I guess like Aave or Curve. I guess that if that announcement gets delayed, that'll be bad. But I'm pretty confident in Ava Labs and their team to be able to execute on time. So, I'm just gonna hold on to my AVAX for now. Well, tax strategies with crypto in general. Well, you don't pay taxes if you don't make any money. Right? What do you think about DeFi index tokens like DPI? I like DPI. I used to hold DPI, but it always comes down to opportunity cost. Like, why would I hold DPI when I can just hold AVAX and put it on Benki, right? It's like, what's the point? And DPI is on ETH, so like I just don't want to pay ETH gas fees, right? It's whatever. Do you think it's still worthwhile to go into Polygon Matic? I think so. Like just because I moved out of Polygon doesn't mean it's bad, right? It just means that there's opportunity cost. And if you have a smaller bag and you're still learning, I think Polygon is a good place to learn. Just because like if you make a mistake with a particular transaction, you can like go back without paying like a few dollars, which is always nice. So I guess I'm assuming like most of my viewers, like they're native to Polygon and now they know what they're doing and moved over at Avalanche. But if you're curious about Avalanche but still are kind of scared, like maybe like going to Polygon and like testing the waters there makes more sense. NFT market on Avalanche, thoughts on it? Not really. I don't have any. I think NFTs are native to Ethereum. I think all these copycat NFTs will go into other ecosystems, blockchains, and I'm sure they might go up and stuff, but like most of the value will accrue to ETH. I'm like ETH is the second largest position in my portfolio after Bitcoin, and I think ETH is a long-term hold. And part of ETH's bullish case is that NFTs, the highest value NFTs, will stay on Ethereum. Yeah. So I guess. Yeah, I guess this is like a general question about like when Aave launches, like are you gonna move funds over? For me personally, yes, just because like I trust Aave a lot more than Benki. I mean, I trust Benki a lot more than other money markets, but Aave is still my favorite application. I am super loyal to Aave. I love Aave. So I'm just gonna move over to Aave once it launches. Even if Aave rates are like, let's say Aave rates are like, let's say 10% and Benki rates are 12%, like that additional 2%, I don't really care, right? Because I know Aave is safer than Benki. I don't mean this to be a negative thing for Benki, right? But I mean, I'd rather trust a protocol that's been around for a few years than something that just launched a couple days ago. All right, so I missed the last 3 moon calls. So he's referring to, I guess, Matic in April, Luna in July, and Avalanche a couple weeks ago. Can you make another call today? Short Cardano. Just kidding. I don't know. I guess I think Avalanche is still the play, to be honest. I can't say much about the other farm tokens, but I think Avalanche has still got more room to run. And there's always these questions about like, okay, like I missed on X. I missed out on Terra, so what's the next Terra? I missed out on Matic, so what's the next Matic? Well, sometimes there is no next, like whatever. Like maybe like whatever you're looking for is Avalanche, right? Like what's the next Avalanche? Well, maybe you should study Avalanche, right? Maybe you just study Avalanche and like be more well versed in the ecosystem, because I think that's where the opportunity is. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not anti Cardano. I just think it's funny to like make these jokes. I'll probably be entering the Cardano ecosystem once it launches. Yeah. Okay. So I already kind of mentioned this, but like, yeah, I think if you're super bullish about Avalanche, I think it could make sense for the greedy angel inside of you to have some merit, right? So like maybe you don't go all in, but maybe if your strategy was 100% humble, maybe going 90% humble, 10% degen, or 80% humble, 20% degen makes sense. Me personally, I don't like buying other people's like 10 baggers. It just doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't mean that it's not gonna do another 10 bagger, but like imagine being the person that like bought PNG at $1 and now it's like at $3. Like, is that person gonna keep holding at $7 or something, like $6? At like there is a price point where the sellers will come in and they're gonna like dump on people's faces. So it's really hard to predict. It's really, really risky, but that's the risk you take, right? Me personally, like I mentioned, I'm leaning more towards the humble strategy, just because I'm just trying to spend more time with people around me. Sorry, I already went over this. Okay, so like these money markets offer so many strategies. Like you can like, I know someone that's like depositing AVAX, borrowing AVAX, and redepositing. I know people that's like doing the same for stablecoins. So this is like a Benki. I feel like is like the lowest risk play out of anything, just because like you can hold AVAX, link Bitcoin, ETH, and like redeposit whatever you borrow, which is kind of caps your upside, but it's like guaranteed gains, right? And maybe that's what you're looking for. Do you think Avalanche has the potential to flip ETH? No. I think ETH is going to be the top smart contract platform. I know a bunch of like newer people think in this way just because ETH is unusable, but there is a reason why like ETH is the daddy, right? When it comes to smart contract platforms, like ETH could scale if they wanted to, but they don't want to, like, I guess, because the reason ETH is so expensive is because it's like super decentralized, right? But with other protocols like, I guess, like Matic and Binance Smart Chain, there's like 10 to 20 like node validators, and that's what makes it so scalable, right? But yeah, I think it's going to be a multi-chain world. That's my viewpoint, but I think ETH is always going to be number one. In the top 5, you can always argue. I think Avalanche is going to be top 5, and Solana as well, and Terra maybe. But yeah, never bet against ETH. What's your strategy if Bitcoin drops and pulls down AVAX? Well, hopefully I don't get liquidated on Benki, but I guess I'm already prepared if Bitcoin dumps, just because I'm holding like I'm holding majority AVAX, so even if it dumps, like it's not gonna dump as much as like the other farm tokens, right? Imagine if Bitcoin dumps 5%. Like what do you think is gonna happen to all these Avalanche farm tokens, right? They're gonna be dumping 10, 20, 30% just because people will be scared. So always scary, always scary. 4 more questions. Yeah, so sorry, these are repetitive questions. Like I made these slides last night, right? Because I was busy today, but yeah, I'm gonna switch to Benki from I'm gonna switch to Aave from Benki just because I love Aave. Yeah, how do you think about portfolio allocation? Do I have a set percentage for long-term holdings, a smaller percentage for any riskier coins, etc.? Always, I mean, I think Bitcoin and ETH will always be like my top 2 in terms of portfolio holdings because I can put them as collateral on money markets and farm with them, right? And if there's anything, like if there's any bets that you want to take in crypto, I think it's that, Bitcoin and ETH will trend up over time. So I think I'm always going to have a particular amount of Bitcoin and ETH that I want to hold. And then depending on the market conditions with the rest of the portfolio, I'll just take more risk, right? Like, because like, yeah, like instead of like, I'm more of a fan of like concentrated bets than like spreading my money around, right? So, I put money into Luna, I put money into Avalanche. So I'm relatively focused there, but I'm still like fairly denominated. I'm like pretty much denominated in Bitcoin and ETH. So Japanese question. For those that don't know, I'm Japanese, but this is a person from Kagoshima. 質問じゃないけど、鹿児島から本当にありがとう。どういたしまして。So I'm trying to learn more about the Japanese crypto ecosystem because I'm like pretty detached from it, right? I think Cardano is big in Japan and like XRP or something. It's kind of confusing, but I think a lot of people like kind of dismiss other, I guess, like continents, I guess. Because if you think about it, Twitter is banned in China, right? So if you're on Twitter all the time, you're not really getting viewpoints from Asian countries, right? Because China is like the biggest like crypto ecosystem in Asia, and for people to not know anything about China, I think is like kind of weird, right? So I think it's always good to understand like what's big in other countries, because I think the reason Binance Smart Chain exploded was because there was so much activity in China. Yeah, so what will be your next chain to follow suit after TerraSol AVAX? I think Ethereum is maybe 2022 is going to be like super scalable, or maybe start to be scalable, and I think that's going to be crazy. Super bullish Ethereum long term. I think Cardano can also be a good one. I know I always joke about Cardano, right? About like dumping it and stuff, but I'm not like I try not to be super biased towards any ecosystem. And I think Cardano is going to present a pretty good opportunity in September when smart contracts go live. Hopefully they actually go live. But Cardano is a number 3 coin, right? So like there's going to be so much money in that ecosystem. So if I play my cards right, I think there's going to be lots of gains to be had. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't focus on Terra, Sol, or Avalanche. Terra still has amazing opportunities. Solana has amazing opportunities, and Avalanche I think will continue to have amazing opportunities. So I think instead of looking for the next big thing, maybe it's best to look at the big thing now and just like be a pro there, right? So that being said, that's the rest of the questions. Now I'll answer questions now. Let's see, take a look at the markets. Avalanche, green on the day. Woohoo. Look at this. Okay, let me take off this garbage TA. Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is the 10th daily candle green in a row. Holy shit. And the thing is, like, Avalanche isn't even on Coinbase yet, right? Because if you look at all the other layer ones, they're on Coinbase. Like Ethereum, ADA, Luna, Solana, Matic, Polkadot. I guess Phantom Harmony isn't on it. I know Atom is on it. Even Mirror is on it. So like, I feel like one catalyst that could come out of nowhere is like a Coinbase listing, because I know Coinbase. I think Coinbase is like listing new coins every single week. I don't know, man. But yeah, Bitcoin looking good. It's pretty nice. Yeah, look at that. Damn. I remember people were so bullish. Sorry, people are so bearish at 29K, and that was like the literal bottom. That's pretty funny. Damn, ADA all-time highs, price exploration. Look at this. I own zero ADA. I'm coping, but you know, with ADA, like I'm not interested in buying anytime soon. I think I'd rather buy ADA, or it's like participate in ADA like once everything launches, because you know it could be a sell the news event like the smart contracts, or it could just keep giga mooning, right? And if it is a giga moon scenario, then I don't mind buying higher. I don't really mind. It's all about managing risk. Let's see. EOS. I mean, EOS is like trash, right? Let's see. What are people saying? When will Ben grow his hair back? I'm assuming Benjamin Cohen. I don't know, man, but he has a pretty sick. Fuck what? I forget the word, but hairline, right? Receding hairline, is that what it is called? I love Ben though. I mean, am I still in Polygon? No. Phantom farming. I guess Solana and Phantom. I think Solana's a good one. I'm waiting for Aave. I know Aave is gonna launch on Solana sometime. I don't know when. So like when that happens, I'll probably like allocate some money to Solana. But right now, like I'm just focusing on Terra and Avalanche. What was I gonna say? Yeah, because like Polygon and Solana, like and Phantom, just because I'm not in it doesn't mean that it's like not good, right? I mean, it's obviously it's good ecosystems, but I'm not made of money. Like I don't have like, I'm not like made of money, obviously. So like I have limited capital that I can allocate. So instead of like instead of like having capital across like 4 assets and having to bridge them every single time like something changes, I'd rather like pay the least amount of gas fees by like sticking to like 2 or 3 ecosystems. And right now it's like mostly Avalanche, Terra. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I feel like the questions I'm getting now is kind of the quality is not high. Let's just say that. What do you think of Key, Benki, the governance token for Benki? I like Benki, but like, what's the point of putting money on Benki when Aave launches, right? I mean, maybe Aave that won't have Chainlink, right? So maybe I'll keep my link on Benki, but I'm not like too bullish to Key token. It doesn't mean that like Key is bad. Right? I mean, like it's like if when Aave launches, it's not like the TVL of Benki is gonna go from what is it, like $1 billion to 0, right? It's gonna maybe some of this will go down, but like there's still gonna be money left in here, right? So I'm not like bearish, but I'm not bullish. It might be something that like I'll sell into AVAX, right? Just like like I don't mind buying more AVAX with my key tokens. I earned it for free anyways. Like, like what the hell? Did I grow up in Japan? I grew up in Japan, born in Tokyo, moved to the US at 8 years old. Yeah, 8 years old. And I'm 25 now, so I've been here like 17 years. I'm a US citizen. So I can speak both languages. I'm fluent, but my English is much better. So that's why I'm trying to like learn more about the Japanese ecosystem, because I feel like I'm like Japanese, but like, I have no idea what's going on there. Like I heard like XRP and Cardano is big there. Like what the hell? Like I can't even imagine that. Like I'm kind of interested. Yeah. Do you think Eamon's jawline will affect the price of AVAX? I think so. I think that's a pretty good support for AVAX. His jawline is pretty sharp. I think it's a pretty good horizontal support line. And yeah, I mean, he's going in for the kill, right? He's like, like Polygon did $100 million. Like, fuck that. Like, I'm throwing in $180 million, right? So. What do I think about Karura Akala, right? This is a Polkadot DeFi dashboard thing. Like, I'll allocate capital when it launches, right? I mean, technically it's like ready, right? Quote unquote ready, but there's nothing built on there, right? Like I'm not interested in things that are still being built, right? I'd rather allocate capital when, it's about to launch, right? Because anyone could have said like, yeah, like anyone could have like hodled Avalanche throughout like, January, February, March, May, June, July, August, or whatever, right? But if you just started allocating capital when you saw the Benki news, right, on August 10th, you would have made a 3x in essentially 2 weeks, right? So this is all about the humble farmer thesis. Like, you don't, like, who cares? Like, I don't want to deploy capital into, like, random, like, dead projects. Like, sure, like, they might be, like, super big in the future, but, like, I can buy them later, or I can, like, allocate capital later, right? It's just, like, I don't need to bag hold, like, whatever thing that could become big. I'd rather allocate capital to whatever that is big, right? Or is going to be big. Thoughts on XDAI ecosystem? Trash. For now, right? I think XDAI had a really good opportunity last year and this year to like actually launch a scalable solution, compete with Matic, but they just didn't, right? They just didn't. Like, let's be real. They just did not do it. So not interested anymore, or not interested right now. I could be in the future, but I know Curve is on there, but like, yeah, just Curve, like that doesn't excite me, right? Like, I don't want to bridge funds over just to put money into Curve. Okay, like, oh god, dude. Oh my god, ADA is gonna hit $150. BitBoy is expecting $150. Oh my god. Guys, my chat. My oh no. My chat is watching BitBoy. Oh lord. It's unfortunate. Let's see. Yeah, what do you think of leveraged yield farming projects like Spell? I like Spell. It's like magic internet money. But it's, I mean, I know they're like on Phantom and they're like trying to expand into other ecosystems, but I think the majority of their market is in ETH, and I don't want to go through ETH, right? The gas fees are way too damn high. So I just like focusing on projects and plays where I don't have to pay like crazy gas fees. What the hell? AVAX will hit $200 this year. I mean, if AVAX hits 200, I'll be dumping everything, right? Like, I think that's the peak. I think 200 is like a round number peak. I'll definitely be selling before that. Well, honestly. But generally you gotta sell when the moon boys show up, right? Because every time the moon boys come, that's been my top signal, right? Because usually I'll be conservative with my estimates for whatever the markets are a farm, whatever, and then I get dislikes in the comment section saying this thing's the next pancake swap, why are you so bearish? And I'm okay, there's no the incremental buyer is no longer there, so it's time to take profits. So I think AVAX at 200, yeah, who's the incremental buyer there? There's no one. God. Let's see. Sorry, my chat's moving way too fast. How much longer do you think we are in this market cycle? Will you be able to continue farming in case Bitcoin starts coming back down? Yeah, so I don't really talk macro in this channel just because I feel like this is a farming channel, and if you want people to talk about Bitcoin, there's 98% of other channels will do TA on Bitcoin, right? And those draw lines and stuff. Obviously, I mean, I'm a fan of TA. I do TA, but I don't talk about it here just because I don't think people watch me for TA. But generally, I do think the cycle's not over. 64K being the top doesn't make sense to me because I'm fundamentally very bullish Bitcoin. But as soon as Bitcoin starts approaching 6 figs, if it ever does, I'm just gonna slowly take profits. I mean, at that point, right? I've accumulated all these crypto for the 6-figure Bitcoin, so I think it makes sense to slowly convert into stable coins over time. And if you can earn 30-40% on stables, why do you have to take on that much risk, right? I think people get too greedy with crypto, and people don't never sell the top. People try to sell the top, but it's impossible. So I'm never gonna sell the top. I'm always gonna sell early, but I'm never gonna bag hold things. That's my philosophy. I think Curve is launching end of month or maybe early September. Hopefully before September because I'm going to Vegas September 1st. So it would suck to not have money on Aave during a vacation. But it is what it is. Favorite place to travel to? I like New Orleans. I think New Orleans is a city of culture. Good fried chicken. I love fried chicken. Fried catfish. I'm a Saints fan, New Orleans Saints, and a Pelicans fan. So I would love to see games there. I went to a playoff game for the Saints with my girlfriend 2-3 years ago. It was pretty fun. Okay, I might wrap up the stream in 5-10 minutes. You need a new yield farming analogy that compares it to picking up chicks. Okay. All right, man. I'll think of memes. Yeah, I'm a cash game player. Yeah, I was pro last year, right? And yeah, I was 6 tabling every single day. I kind of locked myself in a room to study pile solver and study poker. In hindsight, I mean, I'm glad I did it, right? Just to test my limits because I wanted to see if I can make it as a pro. I technically could, but I feel like my upside is limited. But with crypto, there's so much you can do, and crypto scales linearly, right? With the amount of wealth that you have. Or I guess investing in general, it scales linearly, which is always nice. most other jobs or like work or whatever, it doesn't really scale linearly. Like poker, like I can beat my stakes for like the rest of time, but like then like let's say I make like 50K a year through poker, like there's like no growth potential there, right? Because I'm playing the same stakes, and if I want to get better, then or if I want to make more money, I have to play higher stakes, and higher stakes is a lot more difficult. So that's why I stopped playing poker. But you know, like my friends love playing poker, so you know what? Like before I start getting super into my Patreon, one last break with the boys, one last vacation with the boys. Let's fucking go. It's like people in the chat are like scared of this Luna retrace, but look at this, dude. Like we were talking about it at $6, and good gracious, yeah. I guess like generally like I said, I'm going on like a short vacation on September 1st, so I'm just gonna like significantly de-risk my positions before then, right? Because like I'm borrowing and lending on Luna. I'm borrowing and lending, well, on Anchor, on the Terra ecosystem. I'm borrowing and lending on Benki. But, you know, like, I'm not going to, like, have a bunch of open positions with the potential to be liquidated. Well, like, I'm in Vegas, so I'm going to de-risk significantly in the next couple of weeks. Not because I think we're near the top, but just because, like, you know, you got to farm. You got to adjust your portfolio depending on your life situation, right? You can't just, like, be all in every single time. But yeah, I think it's a good live stream. You know, just always going over, what is it? Right? The humble angel, greedy angel. Don't let the greedy angel take over you. I know it's really easy to like listen to the greedy angel, right? But you know, I think it's good to always have conversations between the greedy and the humble angel at all times. Just so you know what the downside is, but you also know what the upside is. And then you can figure out, you know, how much to allocate within each strategy. Next week, I'm looking to have Crypto Messiah on. He has over 100,000 followers on Twitter. He's an OG. He's been around a while. He's aping into the AVAX ecosystem. And, you know, I respect him. He's one of my favorite people on crypto Twitter. So I think it'll be a good chat because we can do like the humble angel, greedy angel discussion in real life, where he can be the greedy angel telling you to like ape all this shit, while I'll be the humble angel saying, you know what, like let's take a step back. Let's take a step back, right? So yeah, that'll be a good one. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully, yeah, let me know in the comment section because it's hard to look back on the chat just because it moves so fast. But I do read the comment section. It's hard for me to respond to everything nowadays, but I try to listen to feedback. I know I talk way too fast sometimes. Because when I get excited, I talk way too fast. So I literally have a note here that says slow down talking when recording, right? So trying to get better there, but you know, it's kind of hard. And English isn't my first language, so sometimes I just like say ridiculous stuff, right? Do you take your crypto wallet with you on vacation? Hell no. What the fuck? That's the worst thing you can do. Come to Nolo, we'll get ripped, son. All right. This guy's a hype man. Well, anyways, how old am I? I'm 25. Let's see. Yeah, maybe I'll do a poker vlog. Maybe I'll like. I'm gonna play like 2.5 and 5.10 mostly. Hopefully I don't get wrecked. We'll see. I mean, I've been practicing. So, anyways, thank you guys for watching. It's been how long has it been? 84 minutes. Okay, it's not bad. Yeah. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. Comment. And yeah, have a good one.